What's the latest position, Doctor?
Well, he survived the operation.
Can you tell us the exact nature of his
Please,
condition?
gentlemen, please, I'm sorry, but I've no information for you at the moment.
Oh, come off it, Doc. Look, we've got a job to do as well.
It's not every day that one of our top Foreign Office officials has a brain hemorrhage.
Peregrine Hazlitt Wood is news. What are the chances of him being permanently affected due to serious brain damage,
Impossible to
Doc?
say.
Oh, come on, Doctor, give us a
Gentlemen,
break.
I shall be going along to the theatre in due course. If there is any news, you'll be informed.
Take over for a few minutes, will you?
What are you two men doing in here? What's happened here? Wait! No, wait! My patient! What's happened to Hazlitt Wood? Is he dead, Mr. Walker? Did they kill him?
No, he isn't dead. He's completed it. It's a perfect operation.
Dozens of neurosurgeons who could have taken over.
So go on.
Well, I've narrowed the field down. The man who replaced Walker was physically similar.
Haven't the police checked all this?
Yes, and they're in the clear.
Well, all that proves is that the man wasn't from England.
Well, it's something.
Walker could be in on it, you know.
What makes you say that?
Well, he left the operating theatre. Now, if he'd stayed...
Stuart, it doesn't hold up. With the kind of operation involved and the time it takes, I mean, he was certain to leave for a while.
Yes, but he was capable of successfully completing the operation himself.
Presumably.
Why should anyone go to the trouble of putting their own man in?
The authorities have obviously not come up with an answer.
Why do you say that?
You didn't recognize him? Stuart Sullivan, Department S.
Perhaps Walker did plan to murder his patient. Someone found out, and so the imposter took over.
With what motive?
Well, Hazlitt Wood's death would be considerable loss to the West. That alone makes him fair target.
Well, I don't buy it. But I'll keep an open mind.
Come in. Yes, thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes. And a colleague of mine, Annabelle Hurst.
Miss Hurst, I'd be nice to give you every assistance. Frankly, I don't see how I can help you any more than I did the police.
Well, let's start by seeing the operating theater, shall we?
Certainly. Oh, Mr. Jason King is already there.
Stuart. You better get a doctor.
Why? What's the matter?
I've just taken my temperature. According to this, it's 86.
May I? Yes, well, in my considered opinion, you've got a case of galloping hypochondria.
What are you laughing at? I could be seriously ill.
In fact, I'm feeling rather faint.
No, I think you're about to make a miraculous recovery. You had the thermometer the wrong way around. 86 becomes 98. Normal.
Well, that's a great relief.
Well, now maybe we can get down to business. Annabelle, would you feed the invalid all the information we have so far?
All of it?
No, don't confuse me with perfunctory details. My main concern is with Peregrine Hazlitt Wood. That's a name that's not easy to forget.
Hardly surprising. He's the world's foremost expert on Eastern European affairs. He's also the Foreign Office representative to NATO and the chairman of...
No, it's not what I meant. No. It's a name that rings a bell from my distant past. Something that... Agatha Pollen, Istanbul.
Come again.
Hazlitt Wood, Istanbul.
Jason, I don't know what you're talking about, but if you're suggesting he's been there, you're wrong. I've been through the record 100 times.
He's never been there?
No.
How very mysterious.
Is it?
Agatha Pollen.
Who is she?
Would you excuse me? Do you think you could manage without me? Agatha Pollen.
Jason, who is she?
Agatha Pollen? She's a woman. So I assumed. A woman who, if she'd done what I suggested years ago, wouldn't be anything like the person she is today. Check.
Late.
Brilliant. Oh, Agatha, I wish your books were as good as your chess.
Jason, how can you possibly say that when you turn out the drivel that is Mark Kane?
How many copies did your last book sell?
I measure my success by the IQ of the reader.
Sentiment will get you nowhere. Oh, which reminds me, I brought you something.
The very first Mark Kane.
Do you remember when I wrote it?
Istanbul Iliad. Terrible title.
Your ill-considered refusal to succumb to my base desires prompted me to go to Istanbul in the first place. Read the inscription.
I'm very flattered.
Do you remember Peregrine?
Peregrine? Oh, Hazlitt Wood, yes. We were at Cambridge together.
Of course you were. Do you remember you told me to look him up in Istanbul? To gain some sophistication, you said.
Did I?
Well, he was a particular friend of yours, wasn't he?
Well, if I did tell you to look up Peregrine, I certainly don't remember it. Oh, for heaven's sake, Jason, it must be 15 years ago now.
Good heavens. Was it as long ago as that? I must go.
Oh, goodbye. And Jason, I wish I had said yes 15 years ago. I might have saved the world from Mark Kane.
Goodbye, Agatha.
Can I borrow your car? Thanks. Doesn't do to keep this Harley Street specialist waiting.
Now, let's hope Walker produces something positive. Nothing much to go on at the moment.
Perhaps Hazlitt Wood will tell us something when he regains consciousness.
Yeah, maybe.
What's the time? Oh, I must go. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
We lost it. Anyway, she saw us.
Doesn't matter. We know that we need to.
You're really rather good at this, aren't you?
Incredible though it may seem, I'm in the ambassador's team against Asia.
And he's a poor loser.
The worst.
Stupid game.
You really must do better than that, King.
Plenty of time.
Oh, you were saying about Hazlitt Wood.
Oh, yes. How well do you know him?
Very well indeed.
He's improving.
Can I talk to him?
Later, perhaps.
Istanbul?
Oh, yes, I don't know how important it is, but I'm certain that Hazlitt Wood was there.
No, you're mistaken. He's never been to Istanbul.
You sound very positive.
Well, I think it was a couple of years or so ago. We were attending a conference at Marrakesh. I was fortunate enough to be able to go on to Istanbul directly afterwards. It was my first visit to Turkey. I distinctly remember Peregrine being just a little envious. Apparently, it was one of the few countries he hadn't visited. Oh, sorry, your shot.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, why should he want to hide a thing like that?
You could be mistaken. Anyway, if I were you, I would pursue some other line of investigation, or keep to the facts, like Miss Hurst.
And you're absolutely certain that there's nothing that would help you to recognize the other surgeon?
I hardly saw him, Miss Hurst. Just a brief glimpse, that's all. And don't forget, he was masked.
Well, there must be something about his work, even. Something that might indicate his identity to us. Please think again.
Sullivan. Jason.
How's the patient?
Condition is improving.
Good. I want you to try something out on him. Get a copy of one of Agatha Polland's books. You're bound to find one in the hospital library. Give it to him and see what his reaction is. And if that fails, ask him outright if he's ever been to Istanbul.
Istanbul again. Jason, what are you up to?
I've no idea. I just don't like conflicting information.
All right. I will do. What time do you think you'll be back here?
The way things are going, about an hour or so. Now, don't forget Agatha Polland.
How you feeling? Oh, I thought you might like to have something to read later. I hope it's not heavy going. It's Agatha Polland.
Oh, yes.
Well, I just wanted to get this to you. I don't want to bother you.
Thanks. For the book.
Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Question? Yes.
Have you ever been to Istanbul?
No. Why exactly?
Well, it's not important. The book's about Istanbul. I thought it might bring back memories.
I'm certain they were following me. I lost them very quickly. I didn't really get a good look at them.
That's a pity.
What about Walker?
Nothing definite. Look, I taped the interview. I'll get it typed up and see you get copies.
You know, we've got no better than the police. We've got nothing.
Except for a reaction from Hazlitt Wood. And two different stories.
Well, what's your next move, Jason?
Oh, I've got a plane to catch in a couple of hours. Well, if you want me for anything, I'll be in Istanbul.
David. Oh, I wondered if you could help me.
Nej, still så nu,
I just wanted to ask you something.
What do you want to know?
How long have you been working here?
I forget. Nearly 30 years.
Do you remember him?
Should I?
He used to live here.
No, I don't know him.
Well, imagine him younger, say 15 years ago.
15 years, 20 years. What difference it make? I've never seen him.
He's English.
English, American, Russian. If there's something to hide, they come, they go. I mind my business. It's safer.
How many children have you got?
8.
You do live dangerously.
If he was here, he would have known a man named Corland. He'll help you.
Corland. Where do I find him?
I have a light, please? Mr. Colland?
Of course, Mr. King. May I say that I deem it an honor? Indeed, sir, I will go further. A great honor to find myself in the same company as the creator of Mark Cain.
Well, thank you. I'm very pleased to meet you, Mr. Colland. Despite our surroundings. How long have you been a fan?
A fanatic, you might say. I've modeled my whole life on Mark Cain.
Really?
I see myself as the personification of that esteemed gentleman. What do you say to that, Mr. King?
Well, Mark Cain will be very flattered, I'm sure.
You're a man of tact, Mr. King. I like that. No, you want my help, huh?
Ah, yes. You recognize him?
Well, it's been a long time. He's older, grayer, but this is the man.
Anything else?
Tread carefully, Mr. King.
Really?
But if you choose to ignore my warning, visit the Crusader Club.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
Yes.
Show me the photograph, the one you were handing around.
Did he have an operation? That's very important.
Yes, I told Jason. I simply couldn't remember if Peregrine had been to Turkey.
How well did you know Peregrine at Cambridge?
Oh, we were very good friends to start off with. We were both passionately left-wing politically.
Oh?
Oh, don't read anything into it. It was just a passing phase for him. Yes, he changed almost overnight. Became a staunch supporter of the establishment. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter now. I haven't seen him in years.
Didn't it strike you as rather odd, that sudden change?
Yes, I suppose it did at first. But if you think about it, it's quite logical. His public school background, father a minister in the government. His parents were extremely rich, not that he ever hit it off with them. I suppose we all change. Even Jason.
Again, I apologize for the inconvenience.
Oh, no, it's quite understandable.
You're most kind.
Goodbye, Mr. King.
Goodbye, and thank you. Don't worry, it's all over. It was perfectly obvious to that intelligent chief of police that the knife was planted on me. I told you it would be.
Oh.
We haven't got the thing upside down, have you? It's not English.
Oh.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was this hospital built?
Hmm?
I said, how long ago was this hospital built?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. 25, 28 years, something like that.
If someone had an accident for head injuries, say, 15 years ago, would they be admitted here?
I should think so. Why do you ask?
No reason. But then they wouldn't have had the facilities then, or for that matter, the specialists to carry out brain surgery, would they?
Well, that would depend on how serious the condition of the patient was.
Very serious.
In that case, they could have flown the patient out for the operation or brought in a neurosurgeon.
From where? Moscow.
I think you've done enough talking.
Well, Russia's the nearest country.
Yes, but not necessarily the most obliging. He would have had to have been very important indeed.
Yes, he would, wouldn't he? Yes, he would. To the Russians.
Now, come along, Jason, Mr. King. It's time for your rest.
How far back do your records date?
That's none of your business. Lie down.
Well, I don't suppose they compare with British hospitals anyway.
Mr. King, our records office compares favorably with any hospital in London you care to name. Our records date back to the day the hospital was built. Now, you lie there, and you don't dare get up. Understand?
Perfectly. Aivan, když má dvě uměješ toto.
Mr. King!
All right, I accept it. Hazlitt Wood was in Istanbul, and maybe he suffered a head injury.
But it was impossible for the Turks to carry out brain surgery at that time.
But if a surgeon... I believe that there is a connection. And we also know that the surgeon who took over from Walker wasn't English. He could have been Russian, in fact. Hello, have I started reaching you?
Oh, stupid. That interview I did with Walker.
Saw him, Miss Hurst.
No, sorry, it's later on the night.
I thought I recognized the style, or the craftsmanship, shall we say.
Who's he talking about?
The thought because it just wasn't possible. You see, it seemed to me that it was the work of the Russian neurosurgeon, Yuri Dutrov.
Well, there you are. Now, what have I been saying?
I checked on Dutroff. According to the Russian Who's Who, he was one of their top surgeons 20 years ago.
It's all beginning to fit.
Well, I want to know why Walker dismisses the possibility of the imposter being Yuri Dutroff.
Dutroff may well have performed surgery on Hazlitt Wood 20 years ago. That's something I really wouldn't know about, but I'm quite sure he didn't take over from me this time.
You said you thought it was a possibility the last time I spoke to you.
What I said, Miss Hurst, was that the workmanship, the technique of the operation bore strong resemblance to Dutroff's methods. But Yuri Dutroff, if he's still alive, must be well into his 70s by now. Nothing's been heard of him for years.
Doctor, I'm not trying to get you to say something you don't want to, but is it remotely possible that Dutroff completed the operation on Hazlitt Wood?
Well, put like that, I suppose, yes, it is remotely possible.
You did right to contact me before continuing with the case, Sullivan. What you've just told me puts a very different and serious complexion on this matter.
Where are we going?
I want you to meet someone.
Do I know him?
I doubt it. Unless, of course, you mix without my knowledge with the British Secret Service.
Sir Curtis. Hello, Henry. Stuart Sullivan, Department S.
I've heard a lot about you, Sullivan. Now, please sit down. I was very disturbed at your communique, Sir Curtis. In fact, I went as far as asking one of my agents in Istanbul to check the information you gave me.
I see.
Well, what's the position now, Henry? Would you prefer Department S to get off the case?
On the contrary, we feel it's better for you to stay with it, keeping us informed. What's your next move, Sullivan?
Well, with your permission, to visit Moscow.
Peregrine Hazlitt Wood?
Does the name mean anything to you, Professor Dutroff?
No, Mr. Sullivan, nothing. Why should I know this man?
Because 2 weeks ago, he underwent extensive brain surgery in a London hospital. The operating surgeon was forcibly removed from the theater, and another surgeon took over.
I see. And how does it concern me?
The surgical methods used strongly resemble your own.
You think I have been sent to London to take over from the operating surgeon?
I consider it a possibility.
Mr. Sullivan, I'm an old man. I haven't held a scalpel in years.
But then if it wasn't you, is it possible for you to suggest who could have operated, using your methods?
Mr. Sullivan, I think it's about time that you leave.
You won't answer my question?
I say to you, I cannot help you.
Thank you for seeing me, Professor Dutroff.
Would you see yourself out, Mr. Sullivan?
Of course.
Was it satisfactory, gentlemen? I've been expecting you, Mr. Sullivan.
Well, where are you?
Switch the lights on. Switch is on the wall over there. Good. That no longer gives me the unfair advantage I had over you. Yes, Mr. Sullivan. I'm blind. Please sit down.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
At least it proves that I could not have performed the operation you referred to.
Yes. But you would have taught your methods. You would have trained many surgeons in your ways.
That is true.
And I think you do know Hazlitt Wood. I believe you met him 20 years ago. He was in Istanbul. He had an accident. You were flown south through the Turkish border. After the operation, he was smuggled back into Istanbul, and you returned to Moscow.
It might have happened like that.
But why did a surgeon trained by you take over in London?
Because the patient held a position in Britain which made it impossible for him to reveal his earlier treatment.
I see. If they knew that 20 years ago you'd operated, they'd ask why. And why Hazlitt Wood was so important to Russia.
Without the knowledge and the background of his previous injury, the operating surgeon would have worked at a disadvantage.
So someone skilled in your technique had to take over.
To lessen the risk. Without that knowledge, the patient surely would have died.
So they saved his life.
So he's definitely been working for them for 20 years or more.
So it would seem. I'm sorry about that, Henry. That puts you in a very awkward position.
To say the least.
Well, you must have done something. Matron's warned all the nursing staff to stay away from you.
What can I help it if Matron finds me so irresistible she wants to keep me all to herself? Hey, don't forget, I'm on duty. All night.
Jason, quickly.
Get a doctor quickly. He's had a relapse.
Smith? Oh, Sir Curtis.
Henry, I'm at the hospital. I'm afraid Hazlitt Woods had a relapse.
How serious is it? Do they know?
Well, Walker's just completed the preliminary investigation. It seems it necessitates further surgery, urgently.
I see. This alters things. Where can I get you if I need you?
I'll be at the embassy.
Fine. Good night, Sir Curtis.
The operation will take several hours. A statement will be issued at the end of it.
Do you think his chances are fair, do you, Stuart?
Well, as they're aware of the whole case history, I see no reason why it shouldn't go off without a hitch.
Walker isn't exactly trained in Dutroff's methods. Won't that add another risk?
Well, apparently Dutroff's methods aren't complicated. You just have to know them.
What will happen to Hazlitt Wood, Stuart?
I don't know. Prison.
Probably for life, if they save him.
You told me you'd spoken to Walker.
Yes, I did.
And that everything was satisfactory.
I can't say that I approve of your choice of words.
But he understood the position.
Perfectly.
And agreed to cooperate.
I got that impression.
Adrenaline. It's taking rather a long time.
Perhaps you prefer to complete the task yourself.
That's not possible.
Isn't it?
Could Walker have reconsidered, do you think?
How would I know?
But you saw him before he went in.
Mr. Smith, whatever questions I answer now won't change what's going on in there. very sorry to have to tell you that Mr. Hazlewood died a few minutes ago.
Dead? But you knew about Dutroff. You knew the history.
His heart wasn't strong. Wasn't able to stand the strain of further surgery.
Doctor, I don't believe you. You're telling us a pack of lies.
Stuart! I'm sorry, Doctor. Mr. Sullivan appears to be upset.
You realize what they've done, don't you? They've killed him!
Stuart! There's absolutely nothing we can do about it.
He isn't there. Well, I'm going to do something. You gave the order, Smith. You murdered him.
I don't have to justify my actions to you, Sullivan, or to anyone else. Hazlitt Wood died of natural causes, and it's lucky for all of us that he did.
Some luck.
They sent a surgeon into London and kept him alive because of his knowledge. If he'd lived, his friends on the other side would have been desperately trying to find some poor, unsuspecting diplomat to hang a spy charge on and use him for a swap. It's better this way. He died from natural causes.
But I don't intend to let the man arrest you. Believe me.
I'm sorry, Sir Curtis. I asked you to come because I knew you'd be needed.
If you think I can be pressurized into dropping this thing...
All right, I think you better go.
Well, we just can't win, can we? Not ever.
Explain the facts of life to him, will you, Sir Curtis?
It's so unlike you, Sullivan.
Well, let's just put it down to a touch of conscience.
Are you being very naive?
I set it up. We solved the case. If we hadn't, that man might be alive. You call me naive for seeing through this whitewashing campaign?
Sullivan, it's a dirty business.
Oh, you can say that again.
Both sides of the curtain.